let's get it going.
Oh, cool.
Is that good?
That is good.
Okay.
And it's
Um,
recording.
Oh, never mind. I'm seeing it. Chloe can't find the link, but it's
Right
working
on the
on mine,
calendar.
so it must, yeah, she said she got an error, but I saw it. So I don't know why she's getting a 504 error and I'm not, but I just sent it to her,
Okay,
so it should be fine.
I'll wait for a second.
Okay. Chloe, you're coming, Lori should be coming. Heard from
Yeah, cool.
Severin's out of town.
Said 79.
There's Chloe. Chloe, can you hear us and can we hear you?
Street something quick.
What?
Oh, okay. I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome.
Um. Is Lori coming? Is Lori here?
She was off today.
She said she'd be here.
She might be coming.
Okay, that's fine. All right, well, then we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, it's 5:01. We'll call this meeting to order. My name is Kirsten Thompson. I'm the chairperson of the Community Development Committee. We have Brandy Johns here. Chloe Cleveland on Zoom, both are Community Development Committee members. Severin Johnson is not able to be here today. He is absent, and so far, Lori Thomas is as well. Daniel Jensen with Sunrise Engineering is on the call, and I just want to recognize we have both Ted and Wayne. Thank you for being here. Did I miss anybody else? I don't think so. Oh, Carrie. Carrie Malkovich, our city council liaison, is also not here. Okay, well, we have three of us, which is enough to at least approve the minutes from August 11th and August 25th. Those were both circulated earlier this month. Did anybody have any discussion on those or motions?
I motion to approve. They look good.
And I second.
Can
Oh.
somebody say who seconded it?
Brandy
Sorry.
or Chloe, if you would like to second.
I will second. And who said the first one? Sorry, it's hard to tell who's talking.
Approving those minutes, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Chloe?
Chloe, oh, she's on mute.
Yes. I.
Okay, well, seeing that passed unanimously. There were none opposed. Okay, those are our minutes. Review and discuss the goals presented by Daniel Jensen. Daniel, if you have anything to start with, you're welcome to do so. I have a few things that I want to go over. But if you have anything you want to share before I start, feel free.
I don't think so. So if you want to start with chapter 8, we should just dive on in. Or
Do either
chapter 6, wherever.
discussion on chapter 8, 'cause I have some discussion on some other parts of it.
I have some when the time comes.
Okay, let's go ahead. We can do 8. Go ahead.
Mhm.
I gotta find where all my notes are anyway.
One of my concerns is wanting to get as much update as we can in the current plan. On page 68, under DWR water conservation goals, it pulls in some statistics from 2019. And those are dated. So I'm not sure why we're including those in here. They're 6 years old now, and if we were on schedule for having done or doing a general plan, we'd be replacing these in a current general plan. So there's a few of those items like that in 8. So I would suggest that if there is more current information available on that particular topic, that we maybe dig a little deeper and use that instead of 6-year-old information.
Which
Yeah.
page are you referring
On page 68 of the, I guess it'll
Was
be
that
page 68 of the general plan.
Is that state data or data? Let's see.
That's state data, DNR. data.
Is that used in, so back in about 2018, 19 is when the state came out with their conservation goal. And I'm wondering if it's a comparison, Daniel, of where the goal has been. So.
Yeah, the 2019 state goals are the current goals. They have not been updated since. The state is working on that goal update, but those are still the goals that, for lack of a better term, those are the goals that govern. That's the goal that we are told that we are working to try to achieve.
Yeah, they came out with the state conservation goal in about 2019, and it was a goal to be, I think, everyone reduced their water by, I think it was 20% in 5 years or something like that. Can't
By
remember.
2030.
By 2030.
By 2030, yeah. So I think I think that's a benchmark of 2019 of when these statistics kind of started.
Okay,
So you probably was.
So if it'd be the most recent,
It'd be the most recent.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, benchmark data. I mean, it's probably using that as benchmark to start their goal period, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that too.
There's another part right at the top. It's using information from the survey that was done. And that's fine, and I don't know if in the very beginning of the general plan, if the survey is kind of described, but this gives, I think, not a complete information on the survey results. For example, the first question, reduced landscape watering, drip systems targeting watering. And it shows a percentage of 63.6% of the households indicated that their household has taken some of these steps. But that 63.6%, someone looking at that will think the 63.6% is of the households of the city. And it's not. It's only 14% of the households, because that's what the response was. There were 213 responses, and we figure, give or take, we've got 1,500 residents of the city. So I think somewhere, and you're probably going to be using the survey statistics, which is fine, but I think in the outset somewhere of the general plan, you need to explain what those statistics represent so that we don't give any incorrect or false information that we're providing through the rest of the general plan. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in I think it's chapter 2, it outlines the results of the survey. And it talks about the number of responses received, how reflective it was of the community. So it shows like the gender division or reported household income. I think we collected the reported highest level of education obtained, age as well. And so there are obviously limitations because in any survey, we have sampling bias and all that sort of thing. And that's mentioned at the beginning. And so anything like this is more just to show that a pretty good percentage of the people who self-reported are indicating that they're taking some steps. it's not really an academic sign that, hey, if you go to 100 houses, exactly 63 of them took this. I mean, this is self-reporting, so there's definitely interpretation there. Someone may say they're doing it and their neighbor may disagree with the neighbor saying that they're doing it, right? So we have the self-reporting error. We also have a sampling error because we don't know exactly how representative this is of the community, but we can see kind of a trend based on this data. And more than anything, this data shows to the state that, hey, people in Woodland Hills are trying to take this seriously to this degree, right? Like not everyone's doing stuff, but we do have a lot of people who are trying to take efforts in this direction.
And I think it's helpful, Daniel, you mentioned that when the survey results were coming in, once you hit about, and I could be saying this number wrong, but it was like 30, it kind of just repeated from there. You weren't seeing, you're getting different responses coming in, but that's a good sign that you're not getting random data. You're getting good data. So I think that's helpful.
Maybe it'd even be just, I think, to maybe Dwayne's point, there's a simple statement that could be made, something like, based on representative data, 66%, you know, this information is applicable. I
Yeah,
think what we're trying to say is 66% of the houses, based on our representative data, could be doing conservation measures. But we took a representative sample.
or do we just use,
So you just say, based on representative data, this is the expected percentage of houses.
do we just put a
It's
line?
not exact.
You know, I don't know if it references to the beginning of the general plan where you mentioned more about the survey, or just put that these two data points on page 67 came from that survey. So it's just a little clearer where you got them.
I just don't want to give a false impression from somebody reading this that, for example, 63% of the homes in Woodland Hills have been doing drip systems.
But I think that's kind of what we're trying to say, is based on the representative information, we can expect that about 60% of the houses do xeriscaping. So I think if you qualify it by saying based on representative data or something like that, we can expect that about 60% of the houses would have this based on our data points. Does that
And
make sense?
That's fine. I think with some qualification language and understanding, you know, this whole survey, there were 213 people who responded. And so the survey results presented throughout the general plan are really exact representatives of those 213, but in sometimes they've been extended to a larger group based upon that percentage that have responded.
It's kind of like when they do voter night, right?
Right,
When they're seeing the
exactly.
votes
This is
coming in at
statistics.
50% based on 30% of votes being submitted, they can project, you know, what percentage are going Republican or Democrat, or
This
same
is
idea
right.
here.
Yes,
It's kind of based on
Yes,
representative.
statistics are based on projecting it on a larger.
I just want to be careful
Projecting
the
that
way that
60%
they're
of the homes
presented
would
in the.
Yeah, I think it's fine, Daniel, if we just add in something that this references, if you want to qualify it at all, but just add in that it references to the survey so people know where it's coming from and that it's self-reported data. I think
Yeah,
that's
so that'll be in chapter 2, but every time the survey is mentioned, I don't know that we want to like have new language every single time the survey is mentioned.
No, I think just at the outset,
I was just doing chapter 2 and say,
Okay.
you know, data throughout the report is
Yeah.
based on a representative sample or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's in there, but I can go back and make sure that it's really clear because there are limitations and any reader should be aware of that. And to Kirsten's point earlier, I will say it was good to see that, as Kirsten mentioned, after we had about 30 or 40 responses, I didn't see variation in the data. We got new feedback in the open-ended responses, right? Because people had new ideas or whatever that hadn't been mentioned before. But for these multiple choice questions, there was very minimal change in the data. We're talking like it would go from 64% maybe to 65%, back to 64% as more and more people responded. So that was really good to see that we were reaching out in a way that was fair. And I know Kirsten, and I don't know if someone else went and put flyers on doors. And so sometimes we have more.
Street, everywhere
What?
else. I said, and I didn't do my street, I did everywhere else.
everywhere else but your street. Sometimes if we are really aggressively pursuing a public survey, for example, in public meetings, like it's posted at the city hall, then we're gonna have a really skewed result because it's only people who are really involved in government who are responding. Or if we go to a certain like event, we're going to have skewed data again because maybe the demographic is younger or older or misrepresentative. So it was good to see that the data stayed pretty consistently, and I think that is because it was sent out to everyone through the utility billing on the doors and whatnot, and so we weren't targeting just like one subgroup. So that was a positive.
Daniel, I'm not seeing that in chapter 2.
Is
If
it?
you could just clarify and then maybe make it a little bit stronger, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it's chapter 2 or chapter 1. I don't have it up in front of me, but
Yeah, I'll look through
I'll-
chapter 1.
I'll make sure that there's like
Do
a,
this, be
we
good
can even
detail.
do it like in a box that is more visually, like it pops more visually to make
Oh,
sure.
it's in
that-
chapter 1.
Chapter 1, okay. And I'll make sure it like really pops when you're looking at it, because we do want to make sure that there's no
For just more explanation to help people understand statistics
We'd
and
like to
data.
suggest too that this survey be included in the back of the general plan.
Oh, like an appendix.
It is. Yeah, so there's an
Okay.
appendix and we have all results in there. Not
Okay.
like the last question is about people's contact information. So that one's been removed, the one that has people's emails addressed, but everything else is on there.
All right, good.
Mhm.
The next page, page 69 of chapter 8, there's a graph in there, and I was wondering if it goes from 2016 each year through 2023. And I was wondering if 2024 data is available to be included in that, in those results there. If it isn't, fine, but it's a year old now almost, and I would think that that information could be obtained and included in that graph and in the number details of it.
It may be out now. On their website, they had a date for late summer, early fall. So if it came out just within the last month or two. Within
Okay.
the last month. So I can
All
check.
right.
That's a good point, though. I'd like to see that on there.
On the next page, 70, on the narrative at the top, we're looking forward 25 years. And I guess there's really nothing wrong with that. But, this is to guide the city the next 5 years. I'm just wondering if maybe that is extraneous. Talking about acre feet of water, if just a thought, just trying to keep, and then there's some calculations there. And again, I wonder if there's a need for that, how acre feet is determined the gallons of water that we use. If it's important to understand the graphs, then I agree that it would be good to be included in there. But I just trying to keep this as current as possible.
Is the 2050 though, because of the data at the very bottom?
So
Is that why you maybe projected to 2050?
most of our
a
master
mix.
planning, the water does the same thing when we do our water master plan. And the purpose of that, there's twofold. So they recommend you update these every 5 years, right? So even in 5 years, you should be updating your information. Again, same with master plans. They recommend every 5 years you update them because information does change. But the 2050, 2060 helps us start projecting out
That's what I was
land
wondering,
space
if it's-
availability,
if
stuff
it's-
like that. Because sometimes you're only looking at 5
This is,
years. You're
yeah,
not planning where you need land space, especially it comes in road planning. Like if you need road somewhere, you got to start getting that 10, 15 years in advance. And
No, I
Yeah.
know, it's
That's
good to
what I
go
was-
beyond 5 years, but to take it out another.
No. So a
to
general plan,
2050, just,
a general plan is a 20 to 30 year timeline. Now, you want to update it every 5 years, but your planning window that you're looking at is a 20 to 30-year plan. Now, the strategic plan, that is your really short-term plan, and we're going to be working on that very soon. But the general plan itself is a 20 to 30-year timeline, which is why we're projecting to 2050.
Yeah, I think in this case, I think it's helpful to know what are you doing in the immediate and how does that project for the next couple decades. With something like water or even housing, these things take a lot of time to start to see the positive or negative consequence down the road. And so I think it's helpful to see that decades of research or projected data. I would
Okay, and I can understand that, so. Okay. Let's see here. Some other notes. On page 73, we reference on number 8, the tiered water pricing. It says, this is discussed in the water master plan. Is the water master plan addressed anywhere else in the general plan? Or elements of it, or a summary of it? If not, I think it should be.
That's a good question.
So just a thought, maybe you can further review that. Again, I know this is something that Ted puts together. It doesn't have to be, there's probably several pages there, but maybe pull out the salient parts of that so that the planners understand a little bit what the water master plan is, what it does, and the purpose that it's put together. Just a thought there.
Would that be something you would like add in an appendix or add into this section?
It could be an appendix possibly, and with a reference, see appendix for summary of the water
How
plan.
long is it?
100-some pages.
Oh,
Yeah, you would want to.
do you have a link to it, like an online link?
No, you keep it in, I've got a file, you keep it in. And maybe, I think in a reference, just saying the water master plan. And that's actually probably not a bad idea to include that on our website, is to put our water master plan on our website so people can get access to it.
Yeah, I would say if we could link to it, 170 pages is
Maybe a little long for the appendix, if people get
Yeah,
lost.
I do too, if it's that long.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
A
mind
lot of it's modeling stuff.
maybe using elements of it or referring to where to find it. I think that's helpful, because if I was reading that as just a
Maybe just.
citizen, I'm not gonna know what that, I would assume that's part of this. Like I wouldn't know that somebody else in the city has done that and where to find it. So I think that would be helpful to at least direct people of how to do it. And if right now that means call the city, but in the future we could get a link, that would be helpful.
Or we could, it may be, like Ted mentioned, it'd be a good idea to put it on our webpage.
It's a little tricky because water facilities are considered critical infrastructure. And back in 2011, they got listed under Homeland Security Act as critical infrastructure. So when you start making specific water information available, whether it be through the general plan or water master plan, then you're kind of breaching your security.
Yeah.
Now, you can
Yeah.
put some planning information in there, but you can't get specific about your water facilities, if that makes sense.
Daniel, what were, you had your
And maybe
hand up.
that might be a good reason to make a one-page appendix
Yeah,
with not the sensitive information in it.
because we do update our water master
Right.
plan about every 5 years. We just updated it not too long ago. And I think, Daniel, that's what you kind of went through when you put this information in there, is through our master plan. 'Cause we
Yeah,
talked
you
about
do
it.
reference it, but if I guess, is it even something a citizen would be allowed to request to see then if it's a security issue?
Yeah.
Like, is there purpose in allowing a resident or informing a resident on how to see it?
It's still one of those things, because some
Is it
cities
something we
still
don't?
put it on their website, but it's kind of one of those, like, they're telling us now.
I
Don't,
think
because
it's
I
a
know
valid
like Springville,
concern.
you can get GIS of their water system from their website. And they're now saying, don't do that anymore.
Right.
Because it's critical or it's critical infrastructure
Yeah.
protected under Homeland Security Act. So
Mhm.
I think basically, if people want to ask for a summary of the water master plan, sometimes I can just give them, here's kind of what our needs are. But what they're describing there, that's basically under that section is just saying, here's what the water master plan tells you, right? It's not giving the information in the water master plan, it's just saying, we update our water master plan every 5 years. It outlines what we need to do, which really in ours is mostly replacing our aging.
Do you want to give Daniel something that adds a one-page appendix summary that you've generally sent out, or do you
So-
not? Well, I would defer to you on that.
I
Here's
think
here's
even less
here's
than
the
one
summary
page.
right here in the general plan.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm asking Ted, do you feel like that's sufficient, or do you want more than that?
I think we want to keep it a little bit guarded on what we put in there, like, if we wanted to get generally the goal of the water master plan, the primary goal as a result of the water master plan is replacing aging infrastructure. I mean, that's really what we've got. Is generally our water. I mean, we've got enough source. And if Three Bridges comes through, we'll have enough storage. So our last one is just aging infrastructure, really.
Okay, well,
And
unless
maybe we can just give I think
Ted?
it could be a half a paragraph summary.
that's different than this.
So this tells what the water master plan outlines. You can maybe add one in there, say the result of the water master plan is the city's focus is on replacing aging infrastructure.
Can we just add that in one sentence at the very end? Identifies upgrade needs and priorities, including updating aging infrastructure.
Yeah, is the primary goal.
Yeah. Updating primary
Was
infrastructure.
the priority was the results of the, I don't know how to say it, but the priority, the result of the water master plan outlined replacing aging infrastructure as the priority need for the city.
Daniel, do you feel comfortable doing that, or do you want Ted to send you something over as a draft?
So right here, in
One
the
sentence
sentence,
bill.
this would just be expanding on this sentence right here. One of the current
Yeah.
challenges is an aging water system. So
Yeah, which is really what it is. Our current challenge and our priority is replacing aging infrastructure.
And I think that is very appropriate to include in the general plan,
Yeah,
yeah, and this
So-
is it right here in the general plan.
so we could update that just a
Okay.
little bit.
Oh, I guess you do have outlines needs that relate to aging pipelines and water storage.
Mhm.
Is that enough? Do you want another sentence?
If you're looking to me, I think that's fine. But is this in the general plan?
Yeah, this is in chapter 9,
Oh, okay.
right there. Public facilities and services. Water master plan.
Next page, 75. I see all these invasive species. Are all those native, so to speak, to Woodland Hills?
Yeah. I don't know how prevalent they are, but those are the ones that the state has identified are present in Woodland Hills. I don't know
Really?
which ones are more problematic and more present and which ones are
There
less so. but-
one,
You really missed one.
yeah, the one that you
White
guys sent
top.
out. Is that what, that
Oh,
green,
that's-
but it's like,
Has flowery, white flowers on the
Yeah.
top of it.
I was wondering about that one. I was just gonna text my neighbor who's a nursery
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
We'll
we
have
can add to
that,
it.
but these others are,
Cause that one's I see all the time and does seem to be.
yeah,
really-
that's most prevalent up here.
Okay.
I would put that as like number one.
You
And,
know-
and
Do you know the name of it?
Well, the common name is white top. There is a
I know,
more
let me look it up.
scientific name for it, but Kristen's
said
looking for it.
White claw, like a claw?
No, it's the flowery. It starts
White
out
top.
green and then the white comes on like budded little.
It's all one word, white top, TOP,
Hop.
all one
Top,
word. If you
okay.
type it in, it pops right up.
Yeah, okay.
PM Draba.
Common name is white top, hoary cress, white
Hoary
weed,
cress.
peppergrass.
Yep.
I think that's different, actually, the one I was thinking of.
Lepidium draba, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely add that. I
Okay,
think I
good.
remember seeing that as well on the list, but for some reason it didn't identify it, like it identified it lower in the valley, but that's good. I'll add it.
Okay,
There might be another one if that's not the same one.
We can add
Different
more.
one that I was thinking. It was like toxic and invasive and it, anyway, I think illegal, but if you don't remove it. Okay. what else?
Kirsten, if
Yeah.
you find out what one that is, just let me know.
Yeah,
We can
I
add it.
just text and it's because somebody
Here's
told
what
me
the
and I'll let you know.
Is that, see, this is the white top right here that we've got in the city.
Yeah, and I've
Well,
seen
I'm
that. That's
thinking it.
not, that one's taller than the one I was, this one
It's
was.
about probably-
There's some on
probably
Oak
about
right
this from the
before you
ground, it's
turn.
probably about this tall.
Yeah,
It's all around the park, the one side of the park.
there's one that's like somebody's hillside. They have this like fake cougar statue.
Oh, yeah.
And their hillside is covered in it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the problem, but I'll find out. Okay,
okay. Going forward to page 77. And Ted can probably speak to this better than I. The WUI map there shows about half the city is part of WUI, and that's probably incorrect. There are probably a number of maps around, but we would like to have the whole city covered under WUI and addressed that way in the general plan, rather than having a map showing, half the city and the other half is not part of WUI.
Thanks for bringing that up. That was one of the questions that I was going to have for the group. Online, I see a number of different WUI maps, and that's because it's a very dynamic situation. At any time there's redevelopment, a change in landscaping and development in general, it impacts what is considered to be part of WUI. Now, just because you're in the WUI or not, it doesn't really speak to how much risk there is from the fire. So I think maybe not having a map at all and just saying the entire city is located in Footland area with fire risk. I think we could go that route because I don't want people looking at it and thinking, oh, I'm outside of it, I'm fine. When that's not really right. So yeah, what's your feedback there?
And I would even say so the state has now just sent me another map. And they've designated everything in the city except Four Seasons as a WUI area. So they don't consider Four Seasons in the WUI area.
Should we use that map?
And we could if we wanted, but I think to the point of what we want to make sure is that we denote that the maps are based on state information. However, the entirety of, to Wayne's point, the entirety of the city is designated under the city has adopted the Wildland Urban Interface code for the entirety of the community.
citywide.
In other words, it's a citywide code, even though the state may say, for example, Four Seasons is not in the WUI area for their state designation, which is for a different purpose, because that's going to fall under that new legislative act when they come out and do their home assessments to decide who's going to pay all the new tax money. They've discluded that area, but the entirety of our city falls under the WUI code. So it might be just something to say that the WUI code applies, that the city has adopted the WUI code for the entirety of the community.
I think that's really wise. I like that.
Okay.
And then maybe exclude the map.
And maybe exclude the map, because that might confuse them a little bit.
Mhm.
Yes, I also
That's gonna be
agree.
dynamic over the next few years, as I think this legislation blows up like it did in Oregon.
Okay.
The next page, 78, there's, and I'm not quite sure, and Ted can help out with this. We're looking to redo our ordinance pertaining to natural hazards, and possibly not make it a requirement for a person to, if they're in a particular area, to come forth with a mitigation proposal on how to mitigate the particular hazard. We want them to know they're in a hazard area, but we're giving some thought to changing our ordinance around to not require a detail of how that the hazard is going to be mitigated. We want to include this section, but maybe be less, that the city may require, or use that kind of terminology, so it gives the city some flexibility as we go forward in how best to deal with that.
And likely be more of recommendations. The city is gonna recommend that the homeowner, or, I don't even know if it's gonna be recommendations. It'll be more of, there have been hazards identified in these areas, homeowners should take the appropriate precautions. And basically, the city's not gonna accept any liability. We're a little worried that by giving, because not a lot of cities do this, where we're showing hazards on a map, and we're requiring certain hazard mitigation efforts on those homeowners, that we're kind of accepting some of their responsibility by saying, you know, we think there's a hazard here, you gotta mitigate for it.
And they
And then-
do it, and then we accept it, and then something happens, and they
Yeah.
come back and say, well, you approved this and okayed it, and that's what we did, and then the city ends up in a legal.
So it's gonna be more of, these are hazard maps we prepared, and, you know, it's recommended homeowners take the appropriate measures. Because in some of the measures, you don't know what that's gonna be. I mean, you get a flood, I mean, that's maybe just flood insurance, right, or something like that, so
Right.
that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah, I can work on softening that language.
Yeah, we're probably not gonna require it.
Mm-hmm.
On the next page, the last one, 79, I'd like to have you add under goal 3, part A, a 6 and 7. 6 would be along the lines of the city continues to promote cleaning up of properties that have dead and dying trees on them. For example,
Sorry, what was
and,
that? Cleaning up properties that what?
that have dead and dying trees on them for mitigation of fires. And then 7, we promote city's chipping program to get rid of dead wood and underbrush on private property. Something along those lines, so that we get those in here as part of our community goals, which we stress a lot, and for the foreseeable years, we'll continue to implement those programs.
Wayne, this is Carrie. Sorry I'm joining a little late, but I think that I like that first one that you were saying, the dead and dying trees. I think we also need to put down the limbs, because people might think, well, I could cut down a tree, but our chipping program is also about the downed limbs. So I think it would be clear if we put all 3 together.
Yeah, I agree.
I would call it just dead vegetation, dead and dying vegetation, and at least think of one word to capture all 3 of them. Because then we can get more inclusive if they've got dead weeds and stuff like that. Dead
So-
grass.
Those were
I like that.
comments I had on 8. Thank you for indulging me.
Okay.
It was great.
Thanks.
It was a great
That's good.
discussion.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Anything on 9 while we're here, may as well move forward with these 2 newer chapters. Anything on 9?
So no one else had comments on anything with chapter 8, right? We've moved on to chapter 9. Is that what I'm? Okay.
I just gotta find out the name of that plant. Other than that,
For chapter 8,
I
yeah.
read it over and I didn't have any, but especially the chipper days, I like that mentioned in the goals.
So Ted, I hope chapter 9 encapsulated what we've talked about. I know that mostly chapter 9 is mostly what you do with the city, right? And so
Yeah, and I don't remember anything, I'm gonna have to read back through, I read through it a
Okay.
while back, I don't remember anything that was I had concerns about. While you're talking here, I'll review what I'd read, make sure I didn't have anything crazy.
Yeah, and when I was trying to remember, because I was like, I feel like I saw something mentioned about wildfire mitigation, which is in chapter 9, but it only talks about the seasonal full-time people doing it. It doesn't mention like community chipper days from what I can, I read it, but from what I can recall. So I still think that's helpful.
Yeah, I don't have a blurb about community chipper days. And
I think that's a pretty important part of living here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it should probably be mentioned, and I don't know if you need any sort of description on what that, is it done, it's twice a year? Once?
it's usually once, and depending upon
I think
funding,
we had it
that
twice.
might be available, then we try to do it a second time, but it depends on
So we
funding.
just say at least once per year, the city provides chipper day service.
I think we just keep it open. I think we just keep it open because we don't want to put a specific number on it, or people will say, well, I only have to participate once. But we want them to participate in as many as we have, so.
We need to encourage residents to participate in the city chipper days.
Yeah, I was more
Yeah.
afraid of the city being on the line for, well, you
Yeah,
guys
I would
said
be
you do
required,
it one or
because this
two
is a-
times and then you didn't, and then they get mad, you know,
Yeah.
that was more the perspective I was coming
This is
from.
a county, not city service, so the county actually does this
Oh.
for us. So if we lose the county fire crews for some reason, then we may not be able to do it. Because we don't have a chipper, and they come up and do it for us as a county. They have to get so many match dollars with the state to get their funding, and so this counts towards their match money when they come to our chipper days for us. So it's kind of one of those things that maybe just the community actively participates in chipper days, city chip, stuff like, something like that.
Yeah, so we just don't put any timelines, just
Yeah,
we encourage residents in the community
we
to
hope to be able to continue,
participate.
but we never know. The county could just say 1 year we're done.
Right. Wildfire mitigation and chipper days, local chipper days.
I cannot find chapter 9, Daniel, in my emails.
It should be right
Oh.
next to 8 in the attachments. But I can forward them to you again.
That's why I didn't have any questions on it.
Well, we can come back to it because I have a few other things if you want a minute to review that.
Well, I gotta find it first. I don't see that.
I just forwarded it again to you, so
Oh.
it should be at the top of your inbox.
Oh.
Okay. Let me see, just gonna try to start this in chronological order. And I apologize, I'm going back not to kind of reopen some wounds, but gonna go back and address some earlier chapters and some questions that I had. To start, on page 19, there is a land use map. And this is my fault for not maybe understanding this better, but when we talked about a potential villa overlay and what that could provide an option to the city or council, I think in my mind, I thought it was closer to maybe a larger transportation road, not up in the Summit Creek area. And so I don't like it up there. I don't think that that's what those residents are looking for. And I don't think it makes sense to have one-off projects like that in an area like that where you're gonna have, you know, if you're gonna have people in that kind of higher density housing, they typically want to be closer to those busier roads, which makes sense next to 11,200 South, or however we say that.
Now, Kirsten, that map on page 19, that is your actual zoning map, right?
Oh, so, but we didn't, I don't think we've
The
had,
zoning map is inaccurate also, so that's something that needs to be corrected.
okay, well.
To your point, that overlay does pertain to the Summit Creek area.
So it did, okay, I guess that was gonna be part of my question was, is this something that the Summit Creek area requested? Because in that case, great.
It is.
Okay, then if they are asking for that, I didn't want to put that on that community if they weren't asking for it. But if they are asking for that, then I'm not gonna argue with it. Okay, well, that answered
Yeah.
that question.
So, to Wayne, so that zone map, oh gosh, where is that?
Oh,
You said, so the zoning map that I have is the Jones and DeMille map that's from your website that says 2025. Is there an update to that map that I need to get a copy of to put in
Yes,
there?
there's errors in it, and so the errors need to be corrected. We need to work on that with Jones and DeMille, and then we'll get
Okay.
it to you.
Oh, so
Do
should I just
we-
put a note in there that the most recent map is this one, and the map is subject to updates and like periodic updates, that sort of thing?
We
Well,
hope to have a corrected one to you for the
Okay.
general plan, so,
Right,
Okay.
the final version.
yeah.
perfect.
Okay. That's sufficient for my question on that. Page 22, I just was a little bit confused, and this probably isn't that important, but this, in the zoning and land use tools, the city may regulate land use and development along a fault line to protect life and prevent damage to property. It seems like, based on the fault line map, it's kind of right through where that PUD might be. So is that, it almost seems a little contradictory that we're suggesting one thing and then saying, oh, but we might regulate it different. I don't know if I necessarily have an answer for that. That's more of a question.
Yeah, so let's go back to that. We had talked about land use and various options before I had really dug into the natural hazards. And I looked that up and I thought, okay, this is going to be something that the city's going to really have to consider, right? Because if that's the one area that you could have any higher density, and that's also the area where your most potentially active and impactful fault line is located, then that really should give the city pause when considering how to do it. Now, that said, there are some tools in there that I think could be used to mitigate this in a responsible way. The idea that single family detached on large lots is better than something else isn't entirely true, because like I have here in my neighborhood in Provo,
Right,
you can have some
engineering.
single family homes that are directly over a fault line, and that's not great. Now, with multifamily, you can cluster a little bit better, or a PUD doesn't necessarily have to be multifamily, but with a clustered development where you have maybe some smaller lots with open space, right? You can put open space corridors along a fault line, which will make it really easy to make sure that no one constructs housing over the fault line without doing an unconstitutional taking of someone's land. So like that tool could still be useful. Or like if you do commercial, you can have commercial pads that are brought up close to the street and require them as part of their project to have that land in the back be either like parking lot or open space corridor or something like that. So there are some tools, but
To work around it.
to work
Okay.
around it. And honestly, the tools that exist within PUD or, commercial or a multifamily overlay zone is going to give you more flexibility to make sure no one builds over the fault line. But yeah, you probably don't want to put, well, you certainly don't want to put any mixed use density or like commercial mixed use over a fault line, because when you have a multi-tenant building, they can't get earthquake insurance. When you have a single tenant building, it's easy to get earthquake insurance, but whenever you have shared walls, and
Do you have
insurer
like
is not going to
where
insure.
that, because I see that here, purposeful placement, earthquake insurance, and you kind of have what you just said. Do we have somewhere to point where that, where you got that?
That's not, yeah, so that's not a state, like, not a state code. It's just that insurers aren't, like, time and time again, and this is intuitive too, but you can't insure part of a building from structural damage without insuring the other part of the building.
Right.
And so an insurer just by default cannot insure like unit 101 unless they're insuring, units 101, 102, 103, 104, right? And so either you have to work together with your HOA or, building manager to insure the entire building, whether it's commercial or, multi-tenant residential, or you're uninsured and you're built over a normal fault, which is a vertical fault, which is very destructive, toward your building. So not a great idea to put a multi-tenant building of any type of land use really close to the faults. So
Well, I at least like on your second bullet, you said a zoning overlay or PUD allows clustering, which can be used to shift housing density away from fault lines. So if anything, I think that helps to explain that exists, but maybe there's, like you said, ways to work around it. I feel like that's good enough language to explain that.
yeah,
That was
and
just a question I had. Are we being
It's,
confusing.
it's a very good question, and we didn't talk about it when we did our land use discussion. And so that's a very good consideration for planning commission and council to have for future land use decisions. When a developer shows up and says, hey, this is prime property, they're gonna need to sit them down and say, hey, this prime property also crosses these natural hazards and we want to protect our residents. So we need to see some sort of design that works around the natural hazards and mitigates them as much as possible. So,
Oftentimes that property will be excluded, lot excluded from the subdivision. They won't put a lot there. They'll leave open space. We've had that happen once already where he had a lot planned. He realized that it was over a fault and he changed the lot design and configuration to avoid that particular hazard.
Yeah,
So,
well, we might just get a migratory path through.
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
maybe.
Okay, all right. This one, we need to discuss as a council. So previously in chapter 3, and if we want to save the vote on this till the end, I know that we're working on a plan that includes and does not include this. But these are just some of my thoughts. I know we've had some concerns about including dark sky in here, and there's two parts of this, pros and cons for me. The pro in my mind is that it allows us to have some sort of identity as a community, that we have this peaceful quality of life, and I like that. The Star Party thing, I think that's fun. It invites community, you know, and we already just about are there, right, with our dark skies. But that being said, I am concerned that being that our enforcement is volunteer, I'm worried about adding another thing for the city to have to oversee and enforce in code. I'm not sure as a city, maybe we're ready for adding more code to regulate. So
We talked at one time about just enforcing it going forward for new homes.
Yeah, everything else is usually grandfathered in. So it's usually anything that you build from the point that it goes into code forward.
So at that point, I don't know how much more
No,
difficult it would be, right?
So, okay, well, let's talk through that. So if it's, and Daniel, does that feel, or is that sound right?
That is correct, but yes, Kirsten, you still can run in the situation where a new home came in that was built a certain way, and then that owner went and retroactively, or went and changed something that was compliant to something not compliant, and you still have a code enforcement situation. So that can occur.
I just
Even
don't think
though-
it's going to
even
be
though
as
the-
overwhelming.
Yeah, the intention is that it's forward looking,
Yes.
right? But yes, there could be a code enforcement situation that comes from it. So both of those statements are true.
Yeah, well, again, we don't have to vote on this today. I think it's something that we all need to consider, though, if this is something we feel the city is in a position to enforce.
I feel like
Um,
it would only be for new homes. I feel like it's not nearly as much work as we might be thinking it is.
I'm not necessarily worried about volume as I am just any point of a resident having an issue with the city, because we have plenty of that already. And this would just invite another fight between the city and a resident. So is the juice worth the squeeze on that? Whether it's one or whether it's 20 violations.
Can I interject a little bit? I'm not sure that our current lighting ordinance precludes dark skies. It might affect it a little bit, but I'm not sure it would say our community can't be dark sky because we have some lighting that points to the sky. I don't think that is sufficient. Do we have a problem with that? We don't have street lights, So that eliminates a lot of it. And I know some communities that are dark sky communities that have streetlights. So my concern that I've had all along is I don't think it's appropriate in a general plan. Now, the city may decide, let's go ahead and do a dark sky application, and gonna be up to the city council whether they do that or not. But I would rather not see that in the general plan. That's been
Daniel?
my concern all along.
Could this be something included in the strategic plan that's just maybe more of a vision of something the city could consider to work toward that's maybe not in the general plan?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, it could go either way. It's the city's plan. You could put it in your general plan.
Does that
Or
feel more
not.
comfortable, or do you still just not like it in any city document?
No, I'm not sure still how the strategic plan is going to mesh or fit in with the general plan. I don't think that needs to be
It's like
included.
brand and vision of the city. And I think as a city that wants to be rural and wildlife and beautiful, I think you can incorporate maintaining our dark skies, whether it's certified or not, as part of that.
It can be. Yeah. I just don't think.
But
you know,
is your
promotion-
question, you're saying like you feel like our current code makes it so that we don't, because we have enough lights, uplighting, that it would make it like an issue?
I don't think it is. I don't think it would be. Now, I share with you too, there's some disagreement on state code and what is allowed and what isn't allowed. And there's some interpretation that architecturally designed lighting, outside lighting, the city can't dictate that. But there's others who feel that the city can dictate that. So there's a difference of opinion with describing the kind of lighting that I think would be conducive to dark skies that is of issue. If we left it alone the way it is, I'm not sure that presents a problem to a dark sky designation.
I know
So-
that a lot of our residents did favor dark sky when we had our town hall meeting. There's several, as far as I have looked into it, there's several designations that can be considered dark sky. It's not just one or another, or one set one. Also, there are several cities in Utah that are designated dark sky, and their ordinances seem to not be in conflict with state statutes. So maybe we can look at some of those and see what they've done to make sure that they're in compliance, but yet still doing what people would want. I think the most part for our city is, not having the street lights, etc. There might be something with regards to turning off your jelly lights or whatever brand you use by 10 p.m. or something like that. But I think our residents have been very vocal about wanting to keep our skies clear. But I don't know, maybe we can look
Yeah.
into that just a little bit more. But I don't want to exclude it.
Okay, well, something to consider, Daniel, I'll look myself, I'm pretty familiar with state code, but if you know where it already is on what architecturally we can do or not do with exterior lighting, and Wayne, you yourself, if you feel like there's code that's not clear on it or vague or saying otherwise, please provide it. I think that will help inform our decision. It's just, I don't know, something I've been a little bit unsettled about.
Again, Carrie or anybody else, the council can say, let's have an ordinance for dark sky. So there's nothing stopping that
Right,
in our current situation. So far, nobody's done that,
right.
so.
I think they're waiting. I think most of the council, as we've talked about it before, are waiting to see what comes out of this process with community development. After we did the survey and we had the town hall, and just kind of seeing where it lies and then where we put it in, then we determine on an ordinance. Because even if you put something in the general plan, it doesn't necessarily equate to a new ordinance, but it could. So I don't think we exclude it from the general plan,
Yeah,
so
and
that
it
it gives
came
the
up in our-
option for the council. When it's in the general plan, it gives that option for the council to then make the ordinance if we would like it.
Yes, I like that idea. I agree.
It did come up in our public open house. There were some in favor. There was one saying like, kind of what I guess exactly what I said. He said, is the juice worth the squeeze type of thing? Meaning, do we want more regulation for our city when maybe we already kind of have it? So, okay. That was the last of the issues that I just wanted to ask about when I went over what we have access to as far as being completed so far in the plan. Daniel, you said that chapter 6, as far as being pretty incomplete through marketing, will be done midweek.
Yeah, it'll be like I have the chapter done on my end. It's just marketing, putting it together, and she'll have it done this week. Yeah.
I would love to keep this moving forward, and not wait another month. Unfortunately, I'm busy next Monday. And Jody, you'll know what we can or can't do calendar wise. Maybe off the top of your head, I don't want to put you on the spot, but,
So I have a question for Wayne since he's here. The document is large. When we're looking at a general plan, we're looking at, what are we? Close to 100 pages. Let's see. Yeah, 88 pages plus the appendix. Well, plus annexation policy plan plus the appendix. So 100 pages plus the appendix. Would you prefer that half the general plan is brought to planning commission first, or the entire document at once?
The entire document.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of interrelation with one part or another.
Yes.
And to get the full picture, I think we need to have the full document.
And
I
how
agree.
long would you like to have a copy of the document to review it before we talk about it in a public meeting?
because you have to have a public hearing, right?
We do,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we present it to the council.
Mhm.
So,
And I want you to have ample time for all your planning commission members to.
And we have an
over it.
election. Yeah. Which then it's like, do you then present it before or after? I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that, or if it should be considered or not.
well, there's a chance that we'll make changes and recommendations to you, of some things, add-ins or takeouts, I'm not sure which. And, it'll take us a couple of months to go through it and review it and have our, much like you're doing with the individual parts of it, we'll do it as a whole document. And we may come back to you and suggest some changes to be made to it before we take it to the council. So I'd like that flexibility if that needs to be done. To be able to come back and make some changes with
When's your
either
next-
adding to or taking from, I don't know.
So
which.
your next meeting, Wayne, is October 15th. And so I
Yes.
was wondering if chapter 6 is done later this week, or like you're not going to approve that document in the first meeting on October 15th. I think that's just
Right.
not going to happen, right? So
Correct.
do you want to plan to have it as a discussion item on October 15th? I don't know about the
So
full
you know,
review of
can't fit
chapter
your
6 and everything, but you can start your discussion on the general plan, and we could send you everything except chapter 6 today. Well, no, I need to make the edits from today, but this week or later this week, I can send you the full thing with the edits from today plus chapter 6. But chapter 6 hasn't been reviewed by this committee yet. But planning commission can start reviewing it, getting their comments, and on that October 15th meeting, we can have it for a discussion item, I would think.
A portion.
We'd like the full document though.
Yeah.
So if you have the full document, does it fit in your agenda to review parts of it on October 15th? Otherwise, we'll maybe just wait a month.
It's possible that we would review just parts of it then.
And you'd have the full document. I'll have the full document later this week, like including chapter 6.
Wayne, you've got another public hearing that will be on October 15th that I just found out.
Oh, yes.
Well then,
And the public's hearing, they need to be advertised.
But to review it, you don't need a public hearing to start talking about it and reviewing it. It's only after you get to the point where you feel like you've gone through it enough, then you have the public hearing. So the public hearing wouldn't be October 15th. It would just be a discussion item at that point.
It can go either way. We spend a lot of time reviewing it, and then we go to the public and they push back one way or the other, then it takes more time.
Which is not, though, it does, but it almost might save a little time too, because if you don't go through it, public gives feedback, then once you go through and decide whether you incorporate it or not, then you gotta go back again and say,
True.
like we got.
okay, is there any possibility of doing a daytime meeting on the 29th of Monday?
Comment on.
Not for
Yeah, I
me.
would just have to be,
I know there's work,
Awesome.
I mean, I work.
I gotta run, but,
Okay, I know, we're just trying to set our next meeting date, but thank you.
sweet. Daniel, I got you off a few edits on chapter 9,
Okay.
nothing major, just a couple red line edits.
Okay, thank you.
I would not be able to meet in at all on the 29th. I'm out of town that day, but the following
me
Monday
neither.
I could.
Okay, Monday the 6th. That's fine with me. I should be able to be back from Salt Lake that day by 5.
We can start a discussion if
I can't do the
If-
6th.
we don't have one chapter.
Well, Joey, do you have a suggestion of another day besides a Monday if potentially we want to meet sooner in the next 2 weeks?
What's everyone's Thursdays like?
What are your Thursday, the 25th or October 2nd?
October 2nd. would
I'm
work
gone
for
on
me.
both of those days.
Oh. Chloe, when are you around?
Sorry.
I can't do the second either. I'm so sorry.
Okay, what about the 25th though?
I can't do the 25th.
I can't do it. I think the 6th is really the best day. That gives everybody 2 weeks to at least clear their schedule if they can.
Is
Yeah,
the 6th
but Brandy's not
work?
available the 6th,
If
Oh.
there's enough
Oh.
other people.
and you're one of my voting members.
That's true.
Do we have enough people to vote on the 6th? Could she give her opinion via email before and we could like read it or something?
I don't know, is that allowed?
If you don't have a quorum and you're.
Yes.
Well, if I have Chloe, Lori, and myself, and Severin,
Mhm.
And I have a quorum.
To show up.
and could we record Brandy's
No,
input? Is that allowed? Does she has to be present?
present or online and Zoom.
Yeah, but that's to vote, right? But she could still send an email and we could still read it.
What
I think
day
you
are
have to
you,
go without-
Brandy, what day are you available? Maybe that will help us.
Pretty much any other day than that, honestly.
So.
On
you could
Tuesday, the
try,
Yeah, I could do Tuesday, the 7th.
Does that work?
First Tuesday of the month is.
Because we're not having public works, so that might work to have it that day.
When does be ready?
Mondays. Yeah, if you can do the 7th.
At what time? Hmm?
It's on the 7th, don't you?
Yeah, we can make do.
If you can get it done at between 5 and 6.
Okay, let's do it. 5 o'clock, Tuesday, October 7th. That'll be our next meeting date. We'll get this hopefully finalized then with chapter 6.
I can be
Okay.
there, but I'll be
I'm
late
sorry.
on the 7th.
Okay,
When is that again?
October 7th.
Tuesday.
at 5 o'clock.
I'll send out an email after this meeting along with some the meeting minutes. Do I need to send you past approved meeting minutes? Did I not do that? I'm sorry.
But I'll just.
That's just
you're
my
okay.
bad.
Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
Well, you anticipate having all of it at that meeting then and taking a vote
To
on
be
it?
voted and done.
Okay,
Voted and done, passed along to you.
okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Yes, I
Let's do
second
that.
that motion. Chloe,
Okay.
right? That was you?
Yes.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Chloe?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. It is 6:10.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all. This was
Thanks,
very, very
everybody.
helpful.